The irony of reading this right after reading the sequel to Poppy War actually exists. There's one little plot thing that's like, oh, similar. Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. His continuation of the Skyward series. I believe I haven't seen another name for it outside of just Skyward and Starsight. And Skyward was a surprising hit, in my opinion, from Brandon. I didn't know a large portion of his audience would be interested in a YA sci-fi story. To my knowledge, it was a fairly large success, definitely large enough for Brandon to crank out a sequel very quickly, and critically it was received well as well. Skyward was the story of a young, ambitious pilot who wanted to help her people fight an oncoming unknown enemy, an enemy we knew very, very little about, as well as a history we did not fully understand. And there were several burning questions asked in Skyward, many of which we did not get cathartic answers to, and Starsight here has definitely supplied those answers in a satisfying way, though not for everything. Really, Starsight in a quickie review is absolutely a solid follow-up to Skyward. If you liked Skyward, I don't see why in the world you would not like Starsight. I think Brandon Sanderson really captured that same vibe and improved on what he was doing in several ways. We have a very strong characterization for the main protagonist and an exceptionally well expanded upon world, something I didn't expect from Starsight. Skyward had an interesting setting, but not the deepest world. We didn't know much about it, and that's largely due to the mysteries that were posed to us. Starsight has actually grown a world within that setting, a really well done, larger world than I expected, and I really want to praise that. Really take all my praise that originally I gave for Skyward and just lump it in for Starsight and maybe crank it up a notch or two, because I just feel like this was better done overall, while Skyward started out as really good. I understand some people might just not be into this due to it being YA, and that's fine. Maybe you're also not interested in sci-fi and you prefer Brandon's fantasy history, but this one I think has bigger appeal than might be expected. While Brandon does write YA here in style, he's not dumbing down what he's tackling at all. The emotional beats are heavy at times, especially towards the ending here. My God, I don't think anyone could read that ending and not have any kind of emotional reaction, and that's just kind of Brandon's always great with endings. So Starsight to me is better than Skyward. Skyward was good, so this is really good. I'm actually really looking forward to the next entry in this series. I also have like a bit of a theory that Brandon is specifically doing Skyward. One, it's very much so a passion project and he clearly cares. The effort that goes into writing the dogfight scenes, not actual dogs fighting, that's a term for aircraft fighting, shows that he really cares about this story. A lot of research, a lot of understanding, and the action in these two books, as is constantly talked about, certainly bangs. But I have a theory he's also writing this story in preparation for Mistborn Era 4, which is going to be a space opera setting also in a sci-fi-ish situation, and he's just exploring those elements now to make sure he's ready for when he needs to then. Just a theory, maybe I'm crazy and wrong, but hey, it's definitely practice of some kind. But this has been my quickie review of Starsight. I believe a nearly perfect in terms of sequel to the original story entry for this series. Continues right on, pretty solid, not my favorite Brandon ever, but better than I expected. And that's just something that consistently happens if I ever think Brandon's not gonna blow me out of the water. He just continually does. Anyway guys, like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you wanna support what I do here. And have a good one, y'all. Peace. Links to buy the book, of course, right down there. And of course, I want to record a special shout out to my latest high tier Patreon. I was going to do it in yesterday's video, but I realized you have a Foxhead medallion for your icon, so you'd probably appreciate it in a Brandon Sanderson related video. And that is John Moody. Went from 5 to 10 on Patreon. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Have a good one.